Hello everyone and welcome back to GG Haven. Today we're diving into one of my absolute favorite champions. Of course, before Evelyn comes to Riftbound, it's Ahri, the nine-tailed fox. Ahri is versatile, tricky, and uses a combination of spells and strong units to quite literally charm her way to victory. Her legend card sets the tone. When an enemy unit attacks a battlefield you control, give it -1 might this turn to a minimum of 1. Off the bat, you're making it harder for opponents to pressure you effectively. Her champion unit takes that up a notch. When I attack or defend, give an enemy unit here -2 might. Ahri's kit is all about weakening opponents at key moments so that even your smallest units can hold the line or swing into favorable trades. And of course, we have her signature spell, Foxfire. This one's a little spicy. It has hidden. Kill any number of units at a battlefield with a total might 4 or less. Foxfire is low cost, highly flexible removal that clears out pesky units or multiple tokens at once. Let's pause here for a second and talk about what hidden is, because it's a very core mechanic in Riftbound and especially for this deck. When you hide a card, you pay its rune cost up front, but you keep it set aside on a battlefield until later. Then, when the right moment comes, you reveal it for 0 cost. That means with Foxfire, or another card we're going to be talking out later, Zhonya's Hourglass, you can set up traps, bait your opponent into bad plays, and then spring the perfect response when they least expect it. Ahri thrives on these mind games, and that's exactly why she fits Riftbound's rule set so well. Next, let's talk about our battlefields. Groove of the God Willow. Draw 1 when you hold here. Card advantage is always welcome. The Dreaming Tree. The first time you choose a friendly unit with a spell here each turn, you draw 1. This rewards Ahri's spell-slinging style perfectly. And finally, Obelisk of Power. Both players channel an extra rune during the first runic phase. That accelerates the game but also gives Ahri more fuel for her low-profile spells. Competitive tip. Prioritize Dreaming Tree when you can. Since Ahri plays so many cheap spells, you'll reliably draw multiple cards off it, outpacing decks that can generate the same value. Next, let's talk about our champion units. We've already talked about Ahri herself, but she pairs wonderfully with Blitzcrank. He's a tank, so he must be assigned combat first. When you play him, you can move an enemy unit to his battlefield, essentially dragging someone into a fight they didn't want. Basically a Blitzcrank hook. And when Blitzcrank holds, he bounces back to your hand ready to be replayed. Blitzcrank is a hot pick in this list because he sets up Ahri's weakening effects, pulls in a key unit, reduces its might, and suddenly it's not nearly as scary. Plus, the repeatable bounce means you can keep forcing awkward situations for your opponent. Let's break down our units. Our blue units consist of Ravenbloom Student, which grows stronger every time you play a spell. In a deck that's built around casting cheap spells, this unit becomes an amazing surprise finisher. Next, we have the Thousand-Tailed Watcher. It's a monster. With Accelerate, he can come in ready, and when you play him, every unit loses 3 might down to a minimum of 1. That's every enemy unit. This can flip an entire battlefield in your favor and set up a divisive conquer. Let's talk about green. Stalwart Poro. Simple but effective. Shield 1 makes it a strong defender. Clockwork Keeper. You pay when you play it to draw 1, smooths out your plays, and card advantage. Wielder of Water, my favorite card. Gets +2 might when attacking or defending alone, so it's great for those one-on-one trades. Sunlit Guardian. Both a shield and a tank, making it a reliable defensive wall. Tasty Fey Folk. Accelerate lets you let it play ready, and its Death Kneel channels 2 exhausted runes and draws you a card. You get value whether it lives or dies. And finally, White Flame Protector. When you play it, you can give any unit +8 might for the turn. That's a massive swing. Perfect for surprise lethal or making a small unit into an unstoppable attacker. Here's a competitive tip for you. The synergy here is all about tempo. Cheap green defenders buy you time, blue units scale off your spells, and Ahri's might reduction makes trades always favorable for you. When you time a thousand-tailed watcher alongside white flame protector, you can crush one battlefield and instantly threaten the game. Now, we've been talking about spells all this time, so let's just dive into it. Bread and butter. Stupefy, a reduction spell for -1 might and a card draw, keeps your hand alive. On guard, pumps a unit for combat, helping your smaller bodies win trades. Charm, move an enemy unit. This fits Ahri thematically and tactically, disrupting your opponent's positioning. Defy, a counter spell against cheap plays. Discipline, +2 might for a turn and draw 1. Buff plus cantrip. Windwall, your hard counter, shutting down enemy spells entirely. And of course, Ahri's signature spell, Foxfire, which we talked about earlier. The key thing here is that all of these spells are low cost, which means you can cast multiple in a single turn, trigger Raven Bloom Student, and keep your board alive and keep your engine going. Here's a competitive tip. Don't fire off all your counters too early. With Windwall and Defy in your hand, sometimes the threat of interaction is more powerful than spending it immediately. Force your opponents to play around you. Next, a gear. Let's talk about these gears. Gears are equipment like cards that stay in play and provide lasting effects or powerful one-time saves. In this deck, we're running Zhonya's Hourglass. It's hidden so you can rush it for 0 later. When triggered, the next time a friendly unit would die, you kill Zhonya's instead and recall that unit exhausted back to base. That's very important because this isn't just a move. That means after being recalled, the unit can still move later in the same game. This lets you protect your biggest threats, create mind games, and keep your engine alive when your opponent thinks they've finally cleared your board. Let's talk about the sideboard. Let's finish with a bang of a sideboard. A sideboard in Riftbound lets you adjust between games in a match, giving you tech answers for those tough opponents. We're running Smokescreen, a reaction that reduces might by 4, perfect against decks with large single attackers. I'm looking at you, Volibear and set players. Dr. Mundo scales off your trash pile and recycles cards each turn. In grindy matchup, Mundo becomes a massive win condition. And next is Caitlyn. Really cool pick here, and the reason why I wanted to choose her was because first of all, she must be assigned combat damage last, and you can tap her to deal damage equal to her might to a unit at a battlefield. So you could buff her up, increase her might, and suddenly she's sniping threats across the map. This is the full list and which we have on the screen right now. To recap, Ahri weakens enemies just by existing, sets traps with hidden spells, and combines versatile units with low-cost efficient answers. You're constantly keeping opponents off balance while growing your own threats, and that makes Ahri one of the strongest decks in the current meta. I hope you enjoyed this guide to Ahri, the Nine-Tailed Fox. If you did, make sure to drop a like, a comment, and let us know what champion you want to see next. And obviously, subscribe for more Riftbound content. And for everything TCG, you already know, this is GG Haven. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the Summoner's Rift.